Good morning and welcome to your most authoritative and the most popular morning show in the country and beyond. Good Morning Africa, right here on Pan-African Television. We are coming to you from our studios in Abelinkwe 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. We are live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. We are also streaming live on YouTube at Pan-African Television. Let me say a very big thank you to the news team for bringing you the early morning news. Also to the sports team for bringing you the goal. This is the newspaper review segment on the show, and I'll be taking you through the stories that are going to be discussed this morning on the program. And right here with me, we are looking at AU calls for urgent collection of illicit arms in Africa. Story captured on the front page of, on page 5 of the Ghanaian on rescue mission. Mahama says daily graphic story on front page and continues on page 3. Yesterday the NDC launched its manifesto and a lot of issues came up. We are going to be looking at all those issues that actually came up in at the manifesto launch. We'll be looking at all those things pretty shortly on the show. We'll box these three also together. Mahama won't apologize for Achim Sakawa Mafia comment. Otukono hints on the New Independent newspaper, and the story was captured on page 3 of the paper. Also, the New Patriotic Party is saying that Achim Mafia comment can incite reprisal attacks. And also, we'll be looking at Mahama inciting ethnic groups against MPP, says Mustafa Hamid. These are the stories we are going to be looking at, and all these comments we are talking about came as a result of some Ejapa deal that Ghanaians are of the view that it was in the bad faith. Honorable Isaac Adongo wrote something on his Facebook wall which was shared by former President John Dramani Mahama. He has created a lot of issues in this country, with some persons asking the former president to retract and apologize. One of those persons happens to be the Vice President of the land, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who has asked former President John Dramani Mahama to apologize to the people of Achim. But Otukono, Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, has hinted that former President John Dramani Mahama is not going to render any apology with regards to that comment. I've been joined in the studio by Honorable Timothy Awuntrim Atta-Bwedi, former Member of Parliament for Bilsa North in the Upper East region. Also in the studio is Benjamin Insia, a member of the CPP. We are expecting Saka Salia, member of the New Patriotic Party communications team, to join us on the program. As and when he joins us, he'll be part of the discussion. But I'll start with Honorable Timothy Awuntrim Atta-Bwedi on the African story. AU calls for urgent collection of illicit arms in Africa.
Yes, Justice, let me say good morning to you, good morning to my brother, and good morning to your hard-working team in Pan-African Television, the most watched political discussion program in Ghana, whether you like it or not. And I know my people down the northern part of this country are watching, and all over Ghana and all over Africa.
That's true.
AU calls for urgent collection of illicit arms in Africa. Yes, we all know what unregistered arms and other accoutrements that are deadly to the human existence do to us as human beings and to the economy and so on. In Ghana, we've experienced the effects of the proliferation of illegal and unregistered arms in Ghana that has often led to tribal disturbances and conflicts. It has often led to issues where there's misunderstanding between a neighbor and his friend. Guns are used and so on. In fact, the devastating effect of unregistered arms in Africa cannot be underestimated. It has caused more harm than it has done to us. And when crimes most people who handle these crimes go with even illicit drugs and so on, illicit money laundering, illicit, you can call it even illicit outflows of finances from Africa here.
Well.
And for me, it's not just the collection of illicit arms in Africa, and for that matter, Ghana. It is how the AU makes this dream a reality. What are the punitive measures? What have been the actions and inactions of the various governments in Africa towards people holding illicit arms? Remember that the African continent has been bedeviled with tribal wars.
Yeah.
It has been bedeviled with military takeovers and so on. And registered arms are all over. Yeah. That has fallen into the hands of untrained citizens of this continent that are used to rob law-abiding people.
That's true.
We saw it even in our current registration exercise, where guns were fired at Kasua by some hoodlums of the MPP. Yet when it happened, a minister was said, Hawa Kumsi had to come and take up the issue and say he shot it. And I said, and let me say this thing very clear, and I said on another platform, there is allegations to show that Hawa Yakubu did not fire those guns. Because a minister of state is given a pistol, not an assault rifle, and not an AK-47 or any assault rifle. And the bullet from a pistol cannot penetrate a container, a metal.
Okay.
And when you are having a pistol and someone stands at a distance 1 meter away and you shoot the fellow, it can't kill him. It can only wound the fellow. Because the bullet of the pistol is said that it does not have the power to penetrate a metal, to penetrate other hard distance. Any bullet that has a potency and the power to penetrate is stronger than a pistol.
Okay.
So even in the arms of state officers, there are weapons, because he was asked what weapon did he use and he didn't say it. He was asked how did they occur and then he didn't. He just said that she fired because her life was in danger. How can a minister of state fire gun into an armed people? Yet you knew the source of the firing of this arm. So if the AU is requesting that there should be a program to collect all illicit arms within the African continent, and for that matter Ghana, we should carry the issue out. In fact, I think that there was a commission on an institution in Ghana here in charge of the collection of illicit arms. I don't know what it has become now. There have been several reports, and the number of guns that are not registered, that are in the system, that are in the hands of wrong people who use this gun to threaten the peace of this country. Currently we have a situation in Mali. We have a situation in Mali, and when these things happen, arms that are not registered go into the hands of people who hitherto they have nothing doing. Poverty is engulfing the state. So what happens is that people get these arms and they go on a shooting spree and do all sorts of things. And I believe that is a good call. And for that matter, leaders in Africa should ensure that this call is not like the numerous calls that have been called on conflict resolution, on poverty, on corruption. Yet corruption continue to bite us every day, continue to sting us every day. And that explains why the John Dramani Mahama the government in the next government would ensure that they operationalize the Operation Stink, which will be coming on later, to ensure that corruption, poverty are completely eradicated, if not totally, but reduced to the barest minimum impact. So for me, it's a good call, and we should see how the AU is going to have a program that would ensure that truly the illicit arms that are in the hands of African citizens are retrieved for the good people of this country to have peace.
All right, thank you so much for your submission, Honorable Benjamin.
Thank you very much. I bring you good news. Good news from lawyer Appiah, Great Street.
Okay.
The flag bearer of the Convention People's Party, who is in to eradicate poverty in Ghana. And maybe in future we shall not discuss some of these topics because we are discussing some of these topics because of poverty. Why people want to keep arms and do other things is because of poverty in Africa and poverty in Ghana. And lawyer Appiah Great Street says that when he's voted in 2020. The CPP has done it before, and we shall do it again, and then he will make sure that he eradicates poverty and put us on the right path, just like Osajifo did. Before I proceed to have to also thank and greet the chair and leader of the Convention People's Party, Nana Hemasapon Kumankuma, as well as the General Secretary, and your mother, Haji Hamdatu Ibrahim, who is in the unified spirit and unified force to bring all of us together to make sure that we wrestle power from these Dukadaya parties. And I like your name because your name talks about Ghana, southern part of Ghana and northern part of Ghana.
Exactly.
Right, this is a good name. Thank you very much. Justice, I think this is a story that when I started going deeper, I realized that there was even a deeper problem than the caption, like the story itself.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the data from this story, as I read it, it tells us that we have about 40 million arms in Africa.
Yes.
Which is 80% more than what even the military or law enforcement agencies have. Right? And it goes to tell us that 60 million of these arms are not registered and 80 billions cannot be identified or found. Just there in the system. So it tells you that there is a big problem that we see it, because when we have people holding some of these illicit or arms, they can end up doing things we may not like them to do. I think last 2 days or 3 days I heard a report in northern region where a young man was engaged in robbery and was arrested or something. Yeah. So when we have people holding such arms, they end up doing things a state would not like them to do. Anyway, the question I ask myself is that, do we produce arms in Africa? How do they get in? Right? Are they arms produced by our artisanal, let me say artisanal mechanics, right? Or manufacturers who produce these small arms and other things, or their arms imported into the country from other parts of the world? Now, if their arms imported into the country from other parts of the world, the question we are asking is that, what are African leaders doing to stop the importation of these arms, or illegal rules of blocking the importation or in coming in of these arms into this continent? That's something we think that African leaders must sit up, because when you say that, for example, in Ghana we passed in 2007 Act 736, which established the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons. But as at now, we don't actually see what they do, right? When I say see, means that we don't actually feel them in the public space. We don't actually see them at least performing their function as established by this particular act. I just quite recently heard that they are now recruiting their regional or community officers or something, which means since 2007 they are not actually on the grounds. Apart from them, I think we also have one led by former Bombande, Emmanuel Bombande. We also heard of his institution also talking about arms and other things. But they are still in the system. So how do African leaders block them? And that's why normally, because CPP believes in Pan-Africanism, we think that when you give Dr. Lawyer Abokomna Greensi the chance, some of these things will not be topics we shall be discussing, right? In any way, you know also that, Justice, people bring in these arms because of poverty and ownership of resources. If you take the Nigerian case, for example, where we have this northern side, Boko Haram and other things, and then the Biafra area, it's because of resources. Because if resources are not shared equitably to the whole populace, people believe that let's take arms to also benefit from natural resources, right? So that is one reason why we have these arms. So African presidents or African government must make sure that our resources are shared equitably to every person in this particular continent. If they are shared to everybody equitably, unlike what we have in Ghana, where we've realized that these days some family and friends are now benefiting from our natural resources, people will be agitated to taking arms in future.
Okay. Because
the resources as under our law are vested resources, which myself, Honorable, and myself are the resources we all have a take in this particular.
Unborn
generations have a take in these particular resources.
Okay.
So when we realize that few are taking advantage, people will take to arms. So what we are saying is that arms are here. Illicit ones, 18 million illicit, we cannot identify them, are here with us. African presidents or government must set up. And setting up means that we must make sure that we end poverty, one, which Lawyer Ivor Greenstreet is promising. We must make sure that we develop this continent into a standard continent, just like Singapore and other continents, and then we will not be talking about this illicit, because if you look at our population and the number of these arms in this country, I think we have about 1 billion population,
about 1.2 billion.
1.2 billion.
Africans.
And we have 40 million illicit. Right? So it tells us that even out of 10 persons, at least one person has an illicit arm, which the fellow can use for other, how do I even put it, other illicit trade, or maybe robbery or thievery, or even instability processes, because we have many instability in Africa, and many instability because of these arms that are around, and we cannot even identify the owners of these arms, and we cannot even identify the persons who hold them. So I think justice is a good call, and we all must support this call. As a Pan-Africanist and as a CPP member, we think that guns should not be part of us, because it has never been our history, it has never been part of us, and we shouldn't behave like what others are doing. Even if you go to America and other Western countries which have arms, these arms are regulated, unlike our space. So I support that the AU calls for urgent collection of illicit arms. It's a good call, and I think National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons should also take it up in Ghana to collect all these arms that are not registered from persons, so that we cannot have an instability towards this 2020 election, because 2020 election is a good election for Ghanaians, and Ghanaians are going to change from these two Dukadaya and bring CPP in.
You are still watching Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television. Keep your messages coming in on 02608465390, 02608465339. I can see that Sakasalia is in the studio. He will join us pretty shortly to be part of the discussion. But let's move away from the African story. I'll start with you on this, Benjamin. We are looking at the NDC manifesto launch yesterday. We've heard a lot of promises from the manifesto that was launched yesterday at the UPSC. Your take on that?
Thank you very much. Before I start on this manifesto, I think there's a fallacy going around, and I think
what's the fallacy?
The fallacy is that NDC is the first party to publish a Braille system of a manifesto, which is false. I think in 2016, when Lawyer Ivor Greenstreet was leading, we also had a Braille form, and it also it tells you that Lawyer Ivor Greenstreet is part of them. The 3% people with disability is part of them. So he realized that in 2016 we needed to have a Braille form, so we have a Braille form. So NDC is not the first party to give us a Braille form of manifesto. Anyway, now let's go to the details of their manifesto. I think it was a colorful event. They did well. Organization was tight, and then some of the things they said too was like copying, plagiarizing from Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, because they were saying things we thought that when actually they come and they'll be able to implement them, at least Ghana will move forward, because that's the purpose of politics. Politics is about ideas and sharing ideas so that we can all move forward. In any way, apart from promising, there were things that separate CPP from them, and I was thinking that they could even answer them, which they could not. My brother, when you look at the NDC manifesto, I don't know whether Honorable here will educate us on that better, but so far they've not touched on preventive healthcare. Did they touch on it? No, which is very, very important. We think that as a country, when we are going to move forward and then develop, the most important thing is the preventive side of health, because when people don't even fall ill, you not be thinking of building hospitals and then building infrastructure, and then NDC did not touch on that. CPP will touch on preventive healthcare, because we believe that we need sanitary inspectors in the system. We believe that we need health promotion officers in the system. We believe that we need quality water. We believe that we need quality sanitation facilities in the system. We also believe that as a country we need, as maybe they mentioned, the modern market that will take our food stuff, right, from contamination. That is what CPP believes in. So they didn't talk about preventive healthcare. Now, another thing they didn't also talk about in their manifesto is mental health. Okay. And I'm focusing on these two because the human capacity, the human resource, as we call it, human resource, is made up of two things: your health and education. And the most important and critical thing in your human resource, as we know, is your health. You can have education, you can have whatever. When your health is not good, you cannot apply whatever you've learned. So they didn't also touch on mental health, which is very, very serious. I think in 2015, a report was published that each year we have 1,500 people who go into attempted suicide, right? NDC did not touch on. CPP will touch on, because we are serious about mental health issues in Ghana. They have been experts since 2012, 2017. Both parties don't want to talk about it. This country, we have all the 3 psychiatric hospitals located in the southern part of the country. We have 2 in Accra, 1 in Cape Coast. The northern part, there's no psychiatric hospital. CPP will touch on it. They are not touching on it. Now, let's also talk about some of the things they also see. You see, the last time I hear people saying that they will create jobs. 1 million jobs each year, 250 jobs. It's good you create jobs, but let's look at the progressive way of creating jobs. Who are the beneficiaries of the job? You see, when you are bringing out the policy must make sure that it solves some challenges in Ghana.
And are you saying that their policies are not going to solve some challenges?
You see, when we throw out some of these things, and I'll give reasons why. When you take youth employment, right? You take youth employment and other NAPCO or whatever. Both people say, both parties, right? They say they create jobs, they create jobs, they create jobs. But are they progressive? And I'm underlying progressive. Justice, when you take our labor force survey, right? I think it was 2015, but they published it in 2017. When you take our labor force survey, the survey tells us that 22% of youth in Upper East are not employed. 22% in Upper East are not employed. Now, you are telling us that you are going to create jobs, 1 million jobs. Tell us that progressively, how many of the 22, because when you do the variation, in southern part of the country, most of the youth have jobs, right? So you realize that people say they create jobs, and they even create jobs for the southern part of the country. So at the end of the day, our brothers in northern part of the country and other post-zonal areas now shift into the southern part of the country in search of another job.
But NAPCO has benefited everybody, be it the south or the north. It has benefited everyone.
Thank you. I agree with you entirely. But I'm saying that we have to look at the progressive way of creating
youth
jobs.
Employment has benefited everybody.
It is true. 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 They are creating the jobs.
Then the National Democratic Congress talking about the fact that they legalize and regulate the operations of Okada. I don't think that it is only limited to the south. Everywhere across the country.
You see,
something that is sustainable, something that will give significant number of Ghanaians, I mean, some sort of relief.
So thank you very much, Justice. I cannot qualify NAPCO as sustainable jobs or decent jobs, because the International Labour Organization has a definition of what a decent job is.
What's a decent job?
What is a decent job?
What would you describe as a decent job?
One, decent job is a job that has health insurance. It has a health insurance. It gives you shelter, right? It has a job security that when you are in and there's going to be an exit, there's a package for you, right? NAPCO has no health insurance. NAPCO has no housing or shelter. NAPCO has no job security, because even when you are in, you are thinking of being exited, because I thought it's a 3-year program, right? Those are not decent job per international standard. In any way, I'm talking about progressive, and let me explain what CPP will do different. I'm telling you that when you take the labor force survey, it tells us that there are areas that are deprived because there are no jobs. Their youth are unemployed. So when you are going to create the jobs, and because of that, you know, we have this rural-urban migration. And yesterday, the Ghana Housing Registry, I think there was a paper, an article in one of the papers, where they were saying that 50,000 of the vulnerable communities in Greater Accra do not have places of accommodation or places to sleep in, right? So it tells you that when you are creating a job, 250,000 jobs across the country, and you say every year we are going to create 250,000 jobs, what CPP will do different is that already, all the factories in Ghana, most of the factories in Ghana are located in the down part of the southern part of the country, especially Greater Accra. If you take the GRPC data, 90% of factories or jobs are in Greater Accra. How many are in Tamale? How many are in Fumbusi or Chocholga? How many are there? How many are in Fonsi in Upper West? How many are even in Wa, which is the Upper West regional capital? So when you tell us that you are going to create jobs, what CPP will do different is that we must make sure that in order to stop rural-urban drift, in order to stop rural-urban migration, where our people move from northern part of the country to southern part of the country to do slavery job, because some of the jobs are slavery. For example, Kayai, even though they are getting money out of it, But I don't think in the 21st century, a Ghanaian should be involved in carrying luggages and other things. So what CPP is proposing is that the northern part of the country, there must be economic zones where we can have industrialized communities, so that our people from the north will have jobs. So that in average, when we are talking of Upper East having 22% of their youth unemployment, in the next 4 years we should be talking of Upper East having 10% of their youth unemployment.
Is that not that situation that gave birth to the policy of one district, one factory, where the New Patriotic Party government is building factories across the country, in every district in the country?
If you follow New Patriotic Party, I think you should rather start following CPP very well. If you follow New Patriotic, most of their factories are not there to be seen. And Baumia was frank about it. That was the only truth Baumia said, and I think I respect that truth. He says that we have 48 factories. And the 48 factories, no, yeah, 76. 48 were already existing factories in the southern part of the country. As we speak, my brother Saka Saleh is from Upper West. I don't know whether Tumu or Wa has a factory. Honorable here is from Upper East. I don't know whether Chichulga or Fumbisi or Riaga has a factory. I don't know about that. I know that most of the factories are localized in the southern part of the country. And when you do that, still the rural-urban migration or people north-south migration will not stop. That is what CPP is doing different. And that's why I call progressive job creation. So that at any part of the country, there are job centers, there are factories that will give about 500 or 2,000 jobs for our youth. That is direct jobs. Now, we know that this is not new. And lawyer Ivor Greenstreet is saying that. And when you see lawyer Ivor Greenstreet, he's the reincarnation, as I've said earlier, that of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was the person who believed in the spread of factories across the country. He didn't believe in the localized of factories in the southern part of the country. He believed in the spread. So when NDC tells us they are going to create 250,000 jobs, yes, we just had, I'm here to get hold of their manifesto and dig in deep. But 250,000 at where? What do you want to stop? That is what CPP thinks about. Now, another thing they also mentioned, which I think is a laudable idea, and I think even 2016, lawyer Ivor Greenstreet also said it, that people with disability in tertiary education must be catered for by the state. Right? I think they mentioned it in their manifesto, which is a good thing that all parties must embrace, because they are already vulnerable, right? In their vulnerability, the state must cater for them. So if NDC says they are going to cater for people with disability, CPP also supports it. Maybe implementation may differ, but we support that particular something they said they are going to implement. Now, apart from that, they also mentioned something free. They mentioned, I think 50% of tertiary
education. 50%, fees of the tertiary, students.
It's also disability is free, and then free tertiary 50%. I think justice is also a good
They've
call.
also promised to add the private schools onto the free senior high school.
It is also a good call. It is also a good. It is also
a promise to add private schools, my brother. Go ahead.
Private schools are deprived areas.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's also
not private schools.
It is also a good call.
But you have to.
They are private schools.
You have to make.
Go ahead. Saka, please, I'll give you your time.
Saka, Saka is welcome.
They've promised to add private schools to the policy.
Private schools.
Okay. In any way, it's a good call for us, because I think as a country, when we say education is for all, regardless of wherever it goes, because health, for now, even the health sector, the health insurance covers other private institutions, because health is for everybody. So when education is also for all, I think even our constitution we say education must be for all, right? When others want to go to private schools, I think the state must make sure that it settles their fees. In any way, one particular thing that NDC mentions is Okada business, right? Okada business it creates employment for other people across the country. Now, Justice, ask yourself, why is Okada a business opportunity for some youth? One, there's no job for them, so they venture into it. Now, two, our roads are bad. I was in Adan last 2 weeks, and from a community called Wapo to Luho, there's no road, so we use Okada. Without Okada, you can't go there. Now, a country that thinks of making itself a 21st century country, like Singapore, like Malaysia, like China, which they all came to copy from the CPP and Osagyefo, and we should be thinking of making sure that we have good roads, right? And we have jobs for our people. when we are able to create good jobs for our people, decent jobs for our people, our people will not venture into the Okada business, right? So what CPP is saying is that, yes, for now, we may have some sympathy or empathy for our young ones who do not have jobs, and they are using the Okada to improve their livelihood or sustain themselves in the system, because the system is hard. Poverty is a disease, it's hard. So when you are using Okada to sustain yourself in the system, we shall not also, let's say, enforce the law on its total ban.
Don't you see the legalization and regulation of Okada to have been a lucrative and sustainable jobs for persons who could not work in the factories, persons who could not also sit in the various offices, persons who could not probably do other jobs you and I, who are a bit privileged, could have done? Don't you see that to have also been something that creates some sort of relief, some sort of job to, I mean, that person who could only resort to that business and of course get some employment
yes,
for him?
You remind me of my uncle who was a carpenter when we were young. When we were young, there used to be this wooden bed and then wooden furniture where we put this rubber into on a mattress or something, foam, and then we hang it. I know you know those kind of furniture. It got to a time that particular skill went out because people have adapted to new technology and new furniture, and new taste and design. What I'm saying is that currently Okada is sustaining some families. It's improving the livelihood of some families, right? But there's a law banning it. There's a law. What CPP is saying is that Okada is in because we have poor rules, right? We have poor rules, and that's why Okada is in. Okada is in because in the urban centers we've not planned well. So you realize that Accra, Kumasi, because of poor planning, and people want to go to work faster, they have to resort to Okada. What CPP is saying is that when we plan our country well, and I mean spatial and settlement planning, when we plan our country well, Okada business will be something for the past. They may not be in it because the business will go away, because the time traffic will not be there. Time spent on traveling from one area in Accra to the other area will not be there because there will be free flow of traffic. So when it is not there, our people must work, and that's why I'm saying that we need bigger factories. We need factories, and these factories must also come with laws and policies that will stop importation of certain things we can produce locally. And that is what Nkrumah fought for, import substitution. So when we hear our brothers saying that they are creating one district, one factory, still we have laws, we have policies that allow importation of things we are creating in this country. It tells you that those factories will not see the light of day. So justice, CPP is going to give Ghanaians and the good people of Ghana, we are going to give them progressive jobs across the country. Not at a particular part of the country. We are going to give jobs everywhere. We are going to emphasize on preventive healthcare. We are going to look at mental health, which is critical to our development, right? Than some of these things our people threw up in the mud. And I assure you, when our manifesto comes, you will love it. When you see those on our manifesto, I'm even told, Justice, you are even contacted. You are contacted on our manifesto, and you love it. Senior will love it here. It's going to be one of the best manifestos Ghana has ever produced.
All right, thank you so much, Benjamin. We can't wait for that of the CPP's manifesto and see what is in it also. But let me come to you, Honorable Timothy Awonterim Ata Wedi. Honorable, yesterday you launched your manifesto.
Yes.
You have the floor.
Yes, just thank you, and thank my brother too. In fact, when manifestos are launched, in fact, it allows the public to make the critique and then put the best way they think that can be done. So I don't begrudge anyone, be it once you're a citizen. If we take over, that manifesto is going to either have impact on your life negatively or positively, and then the larger community. But yesterday, like my brother said, it was a colorful but very simple event, well organized, no trouble and so on, and the delivery was fantastic. And I like the fact that all the speakers there, little did they notice that His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo was the president of Ghana, and as such mentioned his name like the MPP did in Cape Coast. They mentioned the name of John Dramani Mahama over 2,000 times.
How are you able to count that?
You play the thing and from the beginning till the end. What?
Saka,
you have already announced your presence.
I said that is the NDC.
Saka,
you have already announced your presence. I see they were reading. John Mama was their manifesto. In fact, the beauty of it is that we concentrated on issues that confront the people. That's what we call the People's Manifesto. Just prosperity and more. And the manifesto is a social contract between you and your people.
That's true.
So that when they vote for you and you are not able to abide by what you presented, and then they hold you to your neck. That is why I thought, and for the first time, and as it has been our tradition, like when we wanted to write the 1992 Constitution, in fact, we virtually collated ideas and visions from the downtrodden of this country, including Kaya, including butchers, including bread bakers, and so on. They constituted a consultative assembly, and we came back with that impeccable document called the 1992 Constitution that has been quoted copiously by our friends in the MPP, even though they rejected, they didn't take part. And again, you remember that when we lost power, what we did was that we went to the grassroots, and we're hearing from the grassroots why we lost the power, and we took their concerns on board. And again, we wanted to do this manifesto. We had to do the same thing so that we do not do a manifesto that stands aside and then the ordinary man stands aside. Remember, we're a social democratic party. We are not an elitist party. We're a mass party. So all what we do should be in consonance with the thinking of the ordinary people, so they become part and parcel of the manifesto. And I like the way the Daily Graphic captured it succinctly, and this on the rescue mission. I think the heading.
But what are you rescuing?
That is it. I'm coming to the rescuing. You see, my brother talked about the mental health. Yes, in fact, the mental health bill was brought to Parliament and promulgated into an act by the NDC, and we issued the LI. And the issue is that in which I must say the resources that are needed to often run the mental health institution have been a challenge. And I think that the next NDC government should look at that, and that the people of Ghana should also put their support on mental issues. He rightly put, there have been a lot of suicidal issues, there have been a lot of mental issues, ranging from archaeology to zoology, depending on your mental state and your psyche at a time. You can always get it. And all of us are mental patients walking about. All of us who would have thought that a sitting minister can fire a gun. In this case, Honorable Hawa Kumsen, with an unprovoked crowd, and say that he fired because her life was under threat and that he went there at dawn. Who would have thought that a minister can do that? So we are all somehow, but you see, it is captured. Is that what I said? It is captured in our primary health care. Primary health care, you talked about preventive health care. We have a program of primary health care that would take you from the CHIPS compound to the district hospital without no paying. You don't need, in fact, you don't need a health insurance card to be able to access that. We believe that it's a basic right, and everybody, especially people in the rural areas who cannot afford to even pay the premium for the national health insurance, will be able to access such a facility.
But Honorable, sometime past you promised the one-time premium,
yes,
which did not see the day of light.
Yes.
Why would you want Ghanaians to believe that now that you are promising free healthcare,
yes,
you'll be able to deliver?
Yes, I was a member of Parliament at the time when we promised the one-time healthcare. In fact, before the issue was put off, we had called all the service providers to La Beach Hotel to discuss the possibility of it and so on. And at the end of the day, it was concluded that it would not be possible, and government accepted that, and we abandoned it. You understand? But it does not mean that you cannot get other forms of supporting healthcare. Primary healthcare is very important. I better talk about preventive health. In fact, when we do the preventive, most of the disease that we go through might not even be there. So that what will happen, but there won't be pressure on national health insurance. So the fact that we promise a one-time national health insurance, we could not, does not mean that we should not have other innovative way of arresting teaching medical issues that confront of our people at the local level. Talk about any other disease you can. We even talked about the fact that it will now become a national issue. So issues of cancer, diabetes, and then hypertension will be taken on board, so that people who really pay this premium can assess these things. They are becoming serious health issues, and especially when you are in your after retirement, it becomes very difficult for people to manage this disease. And I think that was what we presented to people.
We are already having problems with the health insurance system because of funding and all of that. How are you going to provide funding for this free system you would want to introduce?
Yes, that will be prudent management of our funding and then the economy. If we come into government and what the MPP did was to cap all these statutory funds, cap them and then pay our nurses, cap what was going into national health insurance. You see, what they did was that they hadn't gotten they hadn't got a way of mobilizing resources to fund the national health insurance and also pay our nurses, our nurse trainees. What they did was to cap the national health insurance, use part of it to pay the health insurance. That is what is creating the problem. Like you said, it is true. Most of the health institutions have come out to say that the government are telling us they've paid, they've cleared our arrears, they are still owing and so on. I know of friends who are having private institutions who have not been paid up to now. But I think that with prudent management, with hindsight as a president who has been there before, most of these things will be corrected, and that the issue of the capping, we'll remove the capping and ensure that national health insurance have the full payment of what is required of them. We talked about 1 million jobs that we are going to create. Yes. How are we going to do these things? We are going to do that. Look, by removing some taxes on industrial and agricultural equipment. When you do that, it enables this institution to pump back their profits into the business to expand and to ensure that they employ more people. We talked about the NAP. That is the National Apprenticeship Program that we are targeting over 500,000 apprenticeship, and government is going to pay the apprenticeship fees. And when they do that, and they're also going to provide them with equipment to set up. Even that has taken more than half of what we are planning. We are also planning to push in the 10 billion infrastructure fund dollars. When you do that, almost every aspect of this country in terms of infrastructure will be expanded. We have the track record. We have the track record to ensure that we put up infrastructure. Look at almost all the infrastructure we put in the health institutions. That is where the current government are employing nurses to work in. In fact, they are not employing.
Breakfast good day, every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Breakfast good day, every day.
Every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Africa right here on Pan African Television. Keep your messages coming in on 0260846539, 0260846539. Let me remind you that we are streaming live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. Leave your comments, suggestions, questions, and whatnot. We'll read all those out for you. Also streaming on YouTube at Pan-African Television. Honorable, let's come back for you to continue with your discussion. When you finish, I'll go to...
So we'll scrap import duties on all commercial vehicles. And, you know, when commercial vehicles are imported, they will increase the job numbers in this country. And these are sustainable jobs and so on. We are also going to... We talked about legalization of the Okada, which I don't want to go because it's a major topic. We're talking about the free TVET. And you know that most of the TVET institutions are not directly under education. You know, some of them are the National Youth Authority and so on. And we'll pay all our assembly members like we talk. We'll cut down the number of the 124 ministers, use that money to support our assembly members in our various areas to ensure that they take duties at the local level, for instance, registration of births and deaths, and ensuring that this is our primary healthcare program that we want to roll out virtually gets to the people.
Oh, well, let's look at the calculation. If you're saying that you reduce the number of ministers to be appointed, so those monies will be used in paying assembly members. And we should also ask, how many assembly members do we have across the country? How much are they going to be paid? And how much money are we going to save from the reduction of ministers? And see if those monies will be able to pay the number of assembly members we're going to be having in this country. Look,
that is just one aspect of the revenue to pay them.
Okay.
We are in this country where this government has virtually borrowed for consumption and nothing else. No development project has been done. In fact, when we say that we are going to cut the overbloated appointments with this government, use that money. The money is huge. And if we are paying each assemblyman 400 Ghana, it will pay a lot of people. Beyond that, we are also going to have ways of generating income to ensure that we pay them, because it is not a waste if you are paying the assemblyman. In fact, they add up to local governance level at our district level. These assemblymen do the day-to-day activities of what most of our politicians don't do. These assemblymen even pay school fees. Some of them pay health fees for their community members and so on. They are the first point of contact. They do a lot of expenditure on their own. And at the assembly level, what do we give them? We give them only sitting allowances. We give them travel allowance. For instance, if you have to travel from, let's take it, one area to the other, then they pay that. We'll calculate all these things and give them something appreciable to enable them be able to function effectively at the local level and so on. So for me, when the details come and how we are going to add on to the waste that we are paying the 124 ministers for, it will come out. Remember that most of these ministers, we've set up a whole bureaucracy for them. It's not just the pay. Look at the amount that goes into the senior minister's office, which is bureaucracy.
Okay.
Look at the amount that goes to most of these ministries that they've set up that do not even have concrete offices. Look at the bureaucracy around them. Look at the budgeting that they put for each minister. And in fact, we're told by this government that we should not look at the numbers. We should look at the input or the output. We should look at the fact that the president has come and he's in a hurry and he wants to deliver. We've waited till 3 years going to the end of their first, and we have not seen the output of those ministers, and about the 1,000 presidential staffers, and about the duplication of appointments in the civil and in the government agencies. We have about 4 deputy CEOs and directors.
How many ministers would the next NDC government appoint?
I think will not exceed the number that when John Dramani Mahama was in government that he appointed. That was barely over 80 ministers of state and so on. I think will not.
I think it was 84. So.
Yeah. So if he's saying that he'll cut off 40 of them, you can understand that we'll come to 84 thereabout, and we'll be able to do more than even the 124. In fact, understand that even with 84 ministers and under 1 minister for roads, 1 minister for what do you call it, for transport, we're able to build the terminal 3. We're able to get money to expand. The $1.5 billion we got for the expansion of the terminal harbor, the $300 million that we got for the Takoradi expansion, and then the other airports that we built, like the whole airport that has been built, all was under 1 minister. It wasn't shredded into pieces that we have a minister for aviation, minister for this and that. We will all bring all of them. And remember that all it goes with expenditure and so on. We also talked about the fact that will provide small-scale and medium-term enterprises with tax exemption to boost businesses and create more jobs. You know, the medium-term and then small, even the president talked about the fact that for the first 2 years, those that will have the capacity to employ about 20 people will be given tax exemption free, even income tax free, to enable them plow back the money into their businesses to ensure that they employ more people and that they're able to go. We are also going to ensure that we'll call what we call Operations Think. We talked about the fact that we are going to ensure that tertiary students who go to school, because of the COVID challenges, we are going to take up 50% of their school fees. We are going to ensure that we give free education to the disabled and also ensure that private schools that are in SS also enjoy free education, because no matter how you see, these are Ghanaian people. It is not they are making that the public schools cannot absorb all this teeming number of our people, and they should not be discriminated against because they made a choice to go to the private school, especially in our rural areas. Some time ago, Sanama, we hadn't gotten a private school, but now I think we can count more than 1 or 2 private schools in Sanama. There's one also springing up in Viaga. So the concept of the private education and parents saying there is virtually catching up in almost every district. Government should have a policy that will take up this and to ensure that we also assist them. And we know that people in the rural area also constantly face income problems. We talk about fully paying all those who lost their jobs in the financial sector, and I think that is very important, because this
are you talking about those who lost their jobs, or you're talking about customers?
We're talking about customers.
We're
talking about customers. And even by that, you know, the president talked about the fact that you will have a kind of what we call the banking tier.
Of people having paid. So what are you saying?
My brother, look, 94%,
95%,
95%. The Bank of Ghana, the governor of the Bank of Ghana met the president, said they've all been paid. Every day they've been paid. Every day. Today we are hearing that they will start paying at the end of September.
On the front page of the Daily Graphic News also, they have indicated that funds have been released for the payment of those people.
We have heard this thing.
So if those people are going to be paid,
we cannot trust the government, because this government said that they've paid the banking sector cleanup cost the government 21 billion Ghana cedis. And up to now, they've not paid the workers. It was a hindsight kind of thought, because John Mahama had earlier on in his public pronouncement that when he comes, he's going to pay all those who have been affected by the banking sector crisis and so on. So it is an issue that is in our manifesto, and we are going to ensure that every sector of the economy is covered, where we need to give free taxes to people to ensure that the economy takes up. We are going to give tax releases to business that has been bogged down as a result of the COVID challenges and so on. The president has talked about even at the agri sector. We are going to have an agro processing vis-a-vis the agri sector, so that we ensure that the chain processes, we have a lot of jobs. The president talked about we are going to have dams, irrigation dams, that is going to end this our seasonal farming and so on. We are not doing one dam, and I keep saying that, look, you can have a dam, an irrigation dam located in one particular area that can serve half of the region. For instance, we have the Tono dam in Navrongo. People from Sandema go there to do farming. People from all walks of life within the Appiah is go there. We have the Via dam. They go there to do farming and tomato farming and so on. We have other dams that people travel there to do dry season garden. So almost every aspect of, we are going to build the fiber optic capacity of this country using the G5 network and ensure that we use the digital platform to ensure that almost every student and all parts of this country is able to link onto it. We promise to give them free computers and so on. These are issues that we've thought through, and these are the issues that corruption, we are going to fight it. Corruption has engulfed this country. It's an issue that we should not even be discussed. We should be ashamed to be discussing it, because we were told
to retrieve all excavators and give it back to the owners. We would retrieve
all of excavators and give it back to their rightful owners and punish those who were involved in the stealing of the excavators. It is only in this country that excavators can fly out. It is only in this country that tricycles that were acquired by SADA can be misappropriated, and we cannot get the culprits. And yet the vice president had the audacity to say that SADA was a failure, and yet SADA was a failure, and you came and met tricycles that was a product of SADA, and it is alleged that your sister, who was the deputy SADA boss, took the tricycles, and then it hasn't been recovered up to today. He's now the parliamentary candidate for Walwale and so on. So these allegations must be investigated. We talked about it. We're going to ensure that we have the gold board, and this gold board, we're going to ensure that we put up refinery to be able to refine gold here, and we put our gold in stock to support our city depreciation. We are also going to ensure that all those whose licenses, that is the legally given licenses on the small scale mining that were confiscated and the miners given out to MPP Appiah, we take them back and give it to their rightful owners. We are going to ensure that the new mining area that has been discovered in Appiah East, we bring all these people on board, and to ensure that we have a better future for our people and for generations yet on board. I know this is just the beginning, and I talked about the fact that the NAP, the National Apprenticeship Program, with the present target 500,000.
Can you step down for me so I can go to
would also be implemented. The 300,000 people that we are going to train under the YEA are all projects that we are going to ensure. Social housing and so on and so forth. These are most of the programs that we are going to ensure that we do them. And
you also promised to, as a matter of fact, investigate all corruption related.
We would investigate all corruption related allegations. Against this government. Certainly, because corruption has become an issue. And the better we take a concrete stand against it, and issues involving corruption is not about harassing or prosecuting your opponents, but prosecute people under you and investigate them when issues of allegations are brought against them. Because they are public officers and they are using public money and so on. The promises are many. We are going to continue with our free fertilizer and chemical
Thank you so much, Honorable. Thank you so much. We are so grateful. Now, let me go to Saka. Saka, NDC manifesto launch.
And the Okada issue too, are going to...
thank you very much, Justice. Good morning to our cherished viewers. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate His Excellency, the President of Ghana, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, on his appointment as a ECOWAS chairman. I think that it did not just come by accident. The ECOWAS believe that he has the temerity, he has the wherewithal, he has the know-how to steer the affairs of ECOWAS. And that is the reason why. I mean, taking into consideration his sterling performance in Ghana, ECOWAS decided that they have to leverage on that in order for ECOWAS to also benefit. And I think that, I think that is a good news. Is a good news for us as Ghanaians that our president has been recognized in a manner at this time. Even though we are going to an election, they felt that, I mean, the onus lies in him to say the affairs of ECOWAS. So congratulations to the president. About the NDC manifesto. First of all, I can understand. Yesterday, after listening and reading the NDC manifesto, I came to the irresistible conclusion that the NDC does not have a message at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Explain.
The manifesto was empty. The personalities involved epitomize the emptiness of the manifesto.
Who are those personalities?
All the personalities within the NDC fold. Because the reason being that before you promise, and especially as they themselves have alluded to the fact that this election is about records, it's about integrity, it's not about what you promise. It's not going to be about when I come, I will legalize Okada. It's so cheap to talk.
Really?
Yeah. And especially when you were the one that banned the use of Okada in this country. For you to say, when I come, I will pay assemblymen. So cheap to just throw out promises.
What makes sense?
When indeed, when indeed, in 2012, the same NDC in their 2012 manifesto put it in there that when they come, they will pay assemblymen. You could not do it. The same people. So I was listening to John Mama. He says what? They will complete the constitutional review process and then fast track it and then implement it. When we wasted money, set a committee and they went around this country and brought a report of the constitutional review to them. What did they do with it? They wrote a white paper and rubbish a lot of the recommendations. So, first of all, it's about integrity issues. It's about what you have done, not what you are talking about. If it's what we are talking about, anybody at all can just go and stand the rooftop and mention, especially, you remember Sekou Nkrumah, when people were saying the NDC should bring their manifesto. They said, oh, I mean, we already know what the NDC manifesto is.
Who is Sekou Nkrumah?
You wait.
No, who is?
Please don't detract me. I don't like that. You know him. He said.
Who is he?
He said.
Can't make reference.
Oh, let me finish.
No. Saka. I am the moderator.
He is the son of Kwame Nkrumah.
I am the moderator. But wait a minute. I am the moderator of this program. You must respect the platform and its moderator. I beg you. When you are saying something and there are questions to be asked, I will. Let's get that's all settled. Okay. Yes, I want to know who Sekou Nkrumah is.
He is the son of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
And who is he for you to have made reference to?
What do you mean by who is he? I am saying that Sekou Nkrumah says that we should not bother ourselves to listen or to hear the NDC manifesto because everybody already know what the NDC will say.
Okay.
If you want to know the NDC manifesto, he says read the NPP manifesto, and then the opposite is the case. And if you look at the NDC manifesto, you say, oh, when we come, we won't do this. So that is their policy. When we come, we will ensure that the District Assembly Command Fund is increased back to 7%. So they are just taking the MPP manifesto and then bringing the opposite, or they take the policies of this government, and because of populism, for populist reason, and to hoodwink the unsuspected voter, they just throw in anything at all. Because the reason I'm saying all this is the fact that I was listening to their general their chairman. Their chairman says that they brought, that is for example, they brought democracy to this country. Is it the NDC that brought democracy in this country? They even came and overthrew a democratic governance. They came and overthrew Hillary Liman regime, and then we had to restore it. And today, they are saying that they brought democracy, and for that matter, they are the best, people who can rule this country. John Mama, we all know, going into this election, almost everybody says that we should eschew politics of insult. We should ensure that politics of ideas should be the way to go. What did he do when he went to Upper West?
What has he done?
He says that Nanado has a shorter lifespan, and that the youth that he was talking to, in the natural scheme of things, they have longer lives, and that Nanado is borrowing because he knows that he will not pay. I mean, how can a presidential candidate, a former president worth his salt, use such incendiary language and still want Ghanaians to think that they have short memories and for that matter should vote for him? You don't do that. He is playing God. He can be 70 whatever is years. There is no natural sequence to life. He can be 72 or 76 or whatever years. But you might die today and then he will exist. But in any case, it's not about the person paying the money personal. If, for instance, Nanado dies, he has projects, he has companies that can still continue even after his death to ensure that they help in the development of this country and pay taxes, whose taxes can be used to help to pay some of these debts that we are talking about.
Okay.
So sometimes you have to think beyond just your parochial political fanaticism. He talked about the fact that the NPP are bad managers of the economy, and that the economy is in shambles. And look at the person talking about the economy.
Saga, before you go to the economy, I have a brief question for you. You talked about the fact that when it comes to promises, anybody at all could have just promised anything in your submission.
Yes.
Before the 2016 elections, when you were promising, did you specifically do something that you were going to build on before you were promising the free senior high school policies, the one district, one dam, the one
no, I'm not getting the question.
What I'm saying is that you are talking about the fact that anybody at all could promise, and that we are talking about, you know, policies that we are talking about. We are comparing, you know, the two governments, because you have been in power, they have also been in power. We are looking at their projects and all of that. So when it comes to promises, anybody at all could have promised. But don't forget that you were not in government when you were also promising all those things you have done today in government. Were you not also promising just like they were promising before you had the opportunity to roll out your project?
Listen. I am saying that Nanado wasn't in government, or he wasn't the president as at then. But currently, as we are speaking, he is in government. His work is there for everybody to see.
Okay.
John Dramani Mahama is in government. Was in government.
Has been in government.
Has been in government.
Yeah.
His work in there. So between the two of them, and for the other political parties, they can promise.
Okay.
Oh, no,
but
why should they say that? We also have things Ghanaians can.
Well, allow him.
What at least he passes on the Temamoto way.
Benjamin, allow him.
He passes on the Temamoto way.
Benjamin.
All right, okay.
I asked him.
Listen, I am. Please,
Benjamin. I asked him not to interrupt your. So it is only fair that you don't. Okay.
We are talking about two presidents. One former, one current. This brought to sharp focus when Nana Opoku was talking. He says that this election is going to be. She says this election is going to be so special because it's the first time a former president and a certain president is contesting the Fourth Republic, which is a fallacy. In 1982, Hillary Leman contested against President J.J. Rawlings.
Yeah,
but I am saying that these are two presidents.
Two people who have been in power. One is in power, the other has
between the two of them. It's not about promises anymore.
Okay, all right.
It's about who has the best track record.
That's the point I wanted to make.
Who is honest enough? Who can take us to the level that we desire as a nation?
So it's about track record.
It's about honesty.
What he did, what this government has done. Okay,
it's about track record. It's about honesty. It's about the one with the.
You are saying that how much did he borrow?
Listen.
How much have you borrowed?
Oh, you are here to represent your mama or what?
I'm not. I'm here to ask questions.
So I'm saying
I won't have no. This is the final time. No, today will be the very last time I'll allow in either of you to accuse me. I am here to ask relevant questions. And when the viewers ask you questions, I'll ask your question.
You are neutral arbiter. Show to the viewers.
So what you are saying that
let your demeanor, your words, everything shows that you are very neutral.
Okay, all right, but
I'm saying
it's not out of place for me to ask you how much the former president borrowed
I'm telling you
how much you have borrowed. That will tell us who has borrowed more. So
I am saying, listen to my words and take it.
The issues, deal with issues and stop accusing hosts. It is becoming too much. I won't give you a blank check to come and sit here, talk whatever it is you want without asking questions. I'll ask you questions.
When they were talking, were you asking them questions?
Saka, go ahead.
I am saying, listen, you see, sometimes I don't even get the NDC. Listen. I am saying in terms of percentage, let me re-emphasize, in terms of percentage, the NDC has borrowed more than every other government in the history of this country. John Mahama, in particular, from 2012, and let's even take the 8 years, because now he has decided to appropriate all the. Listen. No, but that is where I'm going. Now he had decided to appropriate all the achievements of Professor Mills to himself. When he went to Appiah, what was he saying? He was saying they should look at the Y regional hospitals. Y regional hospital is not the baby of John Dramani Mahama. Indeed, the Y regional hospital, the money was gotten by J. Kufuor under the Euro-Digit project. The 9 district hospitals, including the Y regional hospitals, including the Tepa, the Nsoko, the Konongo, and all that, the Kumasi military hospitals, all of them. You see, he says that if you come to, he also says that if you come to Accra, go to the University of Ghana Medical School. John Mama, what does he know about that facility? Okay. That facility was actually the ground was broken by Professor Mills. Professor Mills went and cut the short for the construction of the University of Ghana Medical School. Now he decided to appropriate all of them. Everything about Professor Mills, he says that he did it. And that is the reason why I'm saying that in terms of the economy, we know what he did with the economy. We know where he left us. We know how he went to the IMF just to seek for policy credibility. We know how he dissipated the resources of this country. Okay. We know what he did with the book size that we as a nation have. That Saka, he dashed it to the brother. Saka, but you've not answered my question. You said percentage-wise. In order for us to percentage-wise, how much did former President John Dramani Mahama borrow? How much did this government borrow? Percentage-wise, John Dramani Mahama, and Professor Mills in 2009 when they came to power. How much did they borrow? The Ghana cedi. As of then, we had borrowed 9.5 billion. They took it from 9.5 billion to 122 billion. Okay. Search for the percentage. So if somebody took it from 122 to if you take it from 122 to 156 to 256 about double. But 9.5 to 122, how many times? Just do your simple mathematics. But haven't you borrowed more than the NDC did? But I'm talking about percentage terms. Why would you want us to understand the percentage terms without looking at the figures borrowed? No, because the percentage term is very important. Because it has to do with, you see, in economics, it's not about the quantum of borrowing. It's about how the economy, the expansion of the economy, your ability to service the debt, your debt to GDP ratio. And he was saying that we have run the economy to a debt distressed country. When they were leaving power, the debt to GDP was 73.9, almost 74% of GDP. And then he has the temerity to talk about debt. And he even ended up by saying that had nothing to show for. You are showing Professor Mills projects, and you think that that is for you. You have built 1 or 2 projects, and you think that because they are flagship ones that are built in cities, we should glorify you. You promise 200 schools, E-blocks. You ended up building 19, and then 23, which is World Bank project. The 23, let me tell you, the 23 was a Professor Mills project. Which are the figures? Because Professor Mills negotiated with the World Bank. Because the education minister once told us that the education minister once said that they built 40 something. I mean, this I'm talking about Napo. Napo once said they built 46 of them. You are saying okay, 90. Whatever. Which of whatever. You let me even grant you 46. 46. Okay. Let me grant you that 46 okay. Out of 200. And even the 46, you could only pay for the 23 that the Professor Mills built with the World Bank. The rest, it is this government, the money that we borrowed, that you think we are borrowing so much, that is the money that we are using to pay for your reckless borrowing that you did so far. Pardon? How many of those? I don't know. I can give you that. Okay. But I'm saying that if you look at all the things that the NDC said they would do, how can you say that one of your policies is that when we come, we will abolish the double track. So it's a policy. We will abolish double track. As if the MPP has brought double track as a permanent feature of our educational system. We ourselves said that the double track is a temporary thing, and that we are doing it because of lack of space, and that within the space of between 1 and 7 years, we are going to eliminate it. And indeed, we have come out to say that within less than even the period that we gave, we are going to abolish it, because we would have built a lot of infrastructure. As you can see, over 1,000 different infrastructure has been built in the existing schools. So we are not a populist government. That, you see, if we take some of the infrastructure that we built, if it stand alone in a virgin land, it can be called a school. But we don't do that. Look at the sort of development that we are doing in the various hospitals, Kolebu, Konfanache, and all those things. Each one standing alone in a land that is free of anything could be termed a hospital. But we are not a populist government that want people to see that we are doing a lot and all those things. We are a government that solve problems. We talk about a situation where this government, in terms of doomso, they said they doomso, and that they even gave excess capacity. We told you even whilst in opposition that the doomso was a creation of the John Dramani Mahama itself, themselves. They created doomso because of the fact that they had run the economy abyss.
Okay.
And that is the reason why they could not get money to pay for the thermal plants. And now when we came, we were able to ensure that we pay all the indebtedness. We ensure that we use prudent ways of allowing the electricity to be there.
Okay.
We talk about that we as a party or as government killed or destroyed businesses, and they use the financial sector restructuring as an example. John Dramani Mahama was the one that superintended over the over the destruction or the destroyers of the financial sector. He himself alluded to that fact when he went to the State of the Nation's address, and then blamed the Bank of Ghana supervision.
Okay. So you need to step down. So
you understand.
The next.
And in 2015, they had done the asset quality review, and in that they themselves have come to the conclusion that the banks are not doing well. The small loans and were not doing well, and that there was a need for restructuring. You did not have the temerity, you did not have the balls to ensure the right thing is done. When you decided to give monies to Unibank and other banks, was it not because the banks were not doing well and you wanted to give them liquidity support?
Okay.
Now a government has come, restructured it, consolidate some of the banks. You are blaming that.
Right. Saka, I think you need to step down. We need to move on to
stepping
next.
down. Let me say that this whole thing about big push is just a facade. This whole thing about the People's Manifesto is a facade.
Okay.
Because John Dramani Mahama, when did he know that the people have sense to advise him? Because the same person said that for him, you needed to be a former president in order for him to take your advice. Now all of a sudden in opposition, they now think he now knows that it's better to go to the people. And I think that sometimes opposition can humble people, but character is like pregnancy. No matter what you do, it will come. No matter how he woodwing this Ghanaians public, if they ever make a mistake to vote him to power, they will ever regret. And I'm sure Ghanaians are so discerning that they will never, go to that direction.
That was Saka Salia, who is I'm coming. That was Saka Salia, a member of the New Patriotic Party communications team. Let me read a few of our messages. I'll come back for us to deal with the other topic. Tell Saka Nanado too is appropriating JDM's project like the 3 interchanges and hospitals. Let him know 50% of 1 city is far less than 1% of 1 million cities. He and Dr. Baumian's argument of debt percentage is mute. Thank you so much. They add your name. This one says, "Good morning, Justice. Great Saka for me, and help me tell him that if he has nothing to say, he should keep quiet." I'm Peter, watching from home. Peter, thank you so much for your message. Good morning. Please tell the MPP man that we are not voting for the New Patriotic Party. Thank you so much for your message. This one says, good morning, Justice. Ask the MPP man, if one takes loan from a bank, do you pay the amount taken or you pay in percentage? Well, thank you so much. Okay, from you mean from a bank, you don't pay in percentage, but you pay the absolute amount. Okay, thank you so much for your message. He didn't add his name anyway. Justice, please correct Saka that Liman contested Rawlings in 1992 as head of state, not a president. So it is incorrect to say that Nana's statement was a fallacy, that this is the first time a former president and a sitting president are contesting. Thank you. Evans Kwesi inside secondary sent in that one. This one says, good morning, Justice. There was manifesto light of yesterday, Babylons, says Daniel. Daniel, thank you so much for your message. Good morning, Mr. Justice, and to your panelists. Please, I wish if you could ask my brother Saka Salia to tell us how much each of the two dominant party borrow so far in government, and we get the facts to compare. Thanks. From Mustafa. Mustafa, he's giving the figures, and he has admitted that they've borrowed ×2 what the NDC borrowed, actually, but he's talking about percentage-wise. Let's calculate. Look, Mugri inside Adenta, JM could not run the National Health Insurance Scheme today. He's talking about primary health care, free. Ghanaians are discerning. Thank you so much for your message. Good morning, Justice. Tell Saka not to twist JM's comment he made regarding President Akufo-Addo's life. He should go back and read the comment. Saka is allergic to the truth. Spew from Kwewu sent in that one. This one says, good morning, Justice. Saka Salia is making the program an interesting one. He has nothing to say and must keep quiet and listen to those who have ideas of issues. From K. Mujib in Eastern region. Thank you so much. The NDC and MPP should create jobs for the young people and stop talking about reading of manifesto to us. We need better work. From Doctor in Sandema. Doctor, thank you so much for your message. A typical Ghanaian will prefer a bad leader from his or her tribe to a good leader from another tribe. That's our problem in Ghana. I'm Jay. Jay, thank you so much for your message. Justice, please, if you don't know Saka, he's intolerant on every program. He diverts attention and never speaks to issues. He doesn't feel fine anytime he's asked a substantive question. All right, thank you so much for your message. Hello, Mr. Host. God bless you. You have to stamp your authority on your program. Saka and his MPP communicators are fond of diverting topics because they have absolutely nothing to offer except defend what shouldn't be defended. Ghanaians are wiser and wouldn't be swayed. G from Somanya sent in that one. Well, I think that enough of the messages. We have a lot over there, but let's deal with the final topic and then move away. Well, if I give you your time, I'll give you your time. I'll give you. No, I have. I think that we are far behind time. We are far behind time. We've tabled out 3 topics that are to be discussed. If I give you your time, you can decide to deal with some of those things and then deal with it.
Then I'll also debate
briefly. But I'm giving each and every one of you your time, and you can decide what to do with it. But this time I'll start with Saka.
No, you have to do the rebuttals before.
We don't have time for a battle, Honorable. I gave you enough time. I gave everybody enough time to deal with the issues appropriately.
I'm not into your destiny. What I'm saying is that
unfortunately, we cannot waste all our time on one topic.
What I'm saying is that
Okay, so Saka, I'll start with you on this. Mahama won't apologize for Achim Sakawa Mafia comment. Otokono hints. Now, yesterday, the New Patriotic Party held a press conference, and what they are saying is that Mahama is inciting ethnic groups against NPP. Now, the media, the MFWA, warns President Mahama and other company that Achim Mafia comment can incite reprisal attacks. Looking at all we are boxing these 3 together and deal with it. Your take on the particular comment?
I think that it's an unfortunate statement to be made by a former president.
Saka, you have 5 minutes uninterrupted.
So what's the time
deal
now?
With this? 43.
Okay. So uninterrupted.
Yes.
I think that it's an unfortunate statement to be made by a former president.
Okay.
A flag bearer worth of salt. I think that will be guided by his words and deeds. But I think that the opposite is the case here. Your mama has always come across as somebody who calculates his words well. But in all the elections that he has, contested, and even whilst in government, you have seen we've seen that he is not the person that has been touted to be. His tribal bigotry is becoming legendary. I think that if you have message, you will be so spoiled for words or choice of words that you will not even want to even talk about your opponent. Not to even talk about his height, his tribe, and all that. I have heard this piteous statements coming from people that this was a Facebook post of Adongo that he reposted. Let me tell you, if you go to my Facebook wall, I don't post anything that I don't believe in. Anything that you post or repost or share in your Facebook or whatever, it means that you believe in it. You have read it thoroughly, and you associate yourself with it. So if you decided to post Adongo's or repost Adongo's incendiary speech, you can excuse Adongo, because in the scheme of things, he is nobody. But if you compare Adongo's stature to your stature, you should be well measured. But I think that his tribal predilections actually, is becoming so much to the extent that he did not even read before sharing. That's what he wants us to believe. That anybody at all can write anything, John Dramani Mahama will take it and share. And you don't expect such a person to become your president. You don't expect such a person to become a president, to the extent that his speeches, his utterances has become, something that everybody abhors. And for me, I think that this is elections that we are all going into, and it's going to be elections of ideas. It's going to be contest of ideas. Who has the superior idea over the other? Who has the track records over the other? Who has the best honesty? Who can man the country over the other? And all that. But to now mount a platform or to share in something that your junior or something that your somebody within your fold has shared, that is being condemned all over, and you think that you can share it, then the attacks that would have come to Adongo would rather come to you. And if it was even in the law, I can now understand the reason why NDC decided that even with the batteries of lawyers that they have, Asiedu Nketia is the one that can best, explain the law to them. I can now understand. Because what Dramani Mahama did, if it's something that you want to sue Adongo, you can sue him together with Adongo, because he is now the one that has even expanded it, that has even publicized it even more than Adongo. When Adongo shared it, only few fanatic NDC, saw it. But because of your stature as a former president, once you share it, it takes a whole dimension. It assumes a whole lot of publicity and all that. Therefore, if somebody is going to sue Adongo, they will sue you, together with Adongo. So for me, I can understand the reason why when they were in power, they were losing all manner of cases. Even when they lost miserably a case in court, the person that can best explain their matter is the General Secretary, who at one time or the other said that with all his qualification, law degree is not part of it. But he is a person the NDC found worthy enough to explain their cases and matters for them. For me, I think that John Dramani Mahama has no excuse. He should have apologized. He has said, notice that he will not apologize. He's unrepentant of this perfidy. He thinks that he has done so well by amplifying an incendiary statement, by amplifying a statement that everybody abhor and condemn, and he thinks that he can railroad himself onto the people for us to vote for him and for him to come and lord over us and continue with his corruption. I think that it's so bad
All right.
for a former president to engage in.
Okay.
If Nanado had even done even a
Mm.
scintilla of what John Dramani Mahama had done, you would have seen all over the place what the NDC would have been talking about. When Nanado says anything that even doesn't have the semblance of tribalism or the semblance of, you know, abhorrence, you see the NDC, they come and manufacture and bring all manner of things and load it on Nanado. But here he is. I think that with all the things that they said is their policy, look at them. Yesterday, as part of it, as part of their manifesto, they come throwing things that the NPP have already done. And that is the reason why I'm saying that they find solace, they find, you know, heaven in, you know, insults, other than, you know, a policy of ideas and policies to let the discerning Ghanaians decipher between which political party has the superior over the other in terms of ideas.
Okay.
Insult will never help the NDC, no matter what how much they insult them.
Okay. Thank you so much, Saka.
But they did it when they were with Muntie 11, Muntie 2.
Thank you so much for your submission.
But it didn't help them.
We are so grateful.
And to
Honorable Timothy Awuntrim Ata Bodi, you have 5 minutes to deal with this issue for me. You can decide to use part of it to respond to Saka. Fine.
You have also entered my 5 minutes.
I've given you 5 minutes, so your 5 minutes has started from 9:50.
Yes. Saka is saying that the NDC is about what we have done, and it's about what they've done. If it is about what we have done, then the MPP has no business being in government. You cannot borrow over 140 billion Ghana cedis for consumption purposes and come and sit on studio and look in the eyes of Ghanaians and solve them. You cannot borrow parliamentary records, 9 billion euros. Where is the money? Where is the money? You went and used Get Fund that we established. Collateralizes 1.5 billion you took dollars that you were going to build schools. You were going to pay contractors. You never built one school, and yet you promised the people of this country 350 brand new tier rubber schools. Please, when you were talking, I was keeping quiet.
School facilities.
Saka,
No.
Saka.
Look, check your parliament.
They said build this school.
Saka. He was quiet when you were making your submission.
You write it down. Write it down.
Not even one Get Fund contractor who
There are millions. Who told you that? Who told you? Get
one
one.
contractor called in and said that
You are disturbing me, please. I don't want
not
that.
even one contractor.
Please, Get Fund contractors today have not been paid.
It is not true.
And you have taken one point.
Please,
Please, Saka, you are not here to talk
let
for
the
the
contractor call on
Then let them. Then you have said your message. Keep
tolerant.
quiet, please. I beg you. Let's
Tolerant.
respect
He was
ourselves.
very quiet when you were making your submission.
lying and think that we
Don't tell me I'm lying. What told you? Who told you that what you are saying is the truth?
Honorable,
Never
please.
use the
Honorable.
truth on me. What you sat here?
Very
You were
well.
saying things that I wasn't happy,
Okay,
but I kept
you
quiet.
go.
And who told you what you said was true?
Honorable, go ahead.
Who judges who here? Please
Go
allow
ahead,
the public
Honorable.
to judge.
Okay, they will judge you. You go.
Oh, go
You
ahead. You have
went
5
and
minutes.
took Heritage Fund.
you've
the
got like
Heritage
1
Fund-
minute out of it.
The Heritage Fund that we created. You went and siphoned the money.
Okay.
$300 million. You didn't use it for anything. You went and used ESLA that we created, borrowed over 3 billion. You didn't use it. You didn't do anything. You went and gave Pullman hotels tax what do you call it? Tax relief, $24 million. When you even use it, when you use the calculation, 5 cedis is equal to the dollar. That's 120 million Ghana cedis for a private man's hotel. Please, please don't do it. No. No, Saka, I'm not talking to you.
Honorable, address me.
I am not talking to you.
Honorable,
I am not facing you.
Honorable,
I am not
Honorable, I
facing
mean,
you.
this shouldn't be a problem. I
am
think
not
let's
facing
deal with
you.
the issues. And
I am not facing you. If you respond, I'll respond. Please, you have to respect. Give us a modicum of respect in this country.
Honorable, go ahead.
Give us a modicum of
Honorable,
respect.
go ahead.
You went and published comprehensive sexual education material, $21 million. Because of the night you hid it. Wasteful expenditure in this country. You told us, Baumia said that he was going to China and then leverage our boxer for $19 billion. Where is the money? Where is the money? You come and sit here and tell us that if it's about records, when you have not put up one new secondary school. Where is the money? You tell you are doing expansion in schools. In fact, indeed, is that it? You are doing expansion in schools? Is that what you are telling me? Go to Sandman and expand Sandman Secondary for me. Don't come and tell me that this and that. Heritage fund you took, get fund you took, you coralize everything. Cut, you did cutting for every listen. Let me come to that. Let me come to that. Dachi mafia. Dachi mafia. That
Heritage fund.
Go ahead.
heritage fund you didn't take $300 million. What fund did you take? Is it stabilization fund? It's heritage. It's not stabilization. It's heritage. Stabilization is different. One who did the heart. Stabilization is different from heritage fund.
It was not.
Saka, please.
Dachi mafia. Today, we are talking about that tribal bigotry. Saka, we're in this country. When President Akufo-Addo, then a candidate, said that yen akamfo. If I say we the Northerners, what is more ethnocentric and tribal bigotry? So that can should not fear the Northerners. That was the implication. Secondly, even as a president, he described some people that they are ECOWAS citizens.
Which word?
He described our people in Volta region as ECOWAS citizens. You, Saka, you didn't see that thing. I am coming, please. No, you wait. You told us that the real owners of Ghana has taken over this country. The real owners.
No,
so you please allow me when I finish, then you fill in the gaps. You told us that the real owners of Ghana.
Give me a second. Saka, let's not encourage some of these things on the platform.
But Nana never said real owners of Ghana.
The real owners of Ghana have taken over.
Who said that, Honorable?
Eslowusu. Then the same Eslowusu said that if not for education, Northerners would have been Kai boys. And he even mentioned that Haruna Idrisu, Honorable Bagbin and Co. The same Eslowusu, when they brought the Getmo 2, sat on UTV and said that they should send the Getmo 2 people to Boli Bamboy. The same people told us that if you are not from a resource that is the senior minister, Honorable Osafo said that if you are not from a resource-rich country, you are not supposed to rule this country. What is more bigotry? Bawumia said that 70% of what he did, or is it 10%, of the people on the register are Togolese, was meaning they are people in the Volta region. The same Bawumia said that the staffers in the Flaster House were skewed negatively against the Muslims. Should I go on and on? Who is an Achim mafia? Are all the Achims enjoying the friends and family? Look, what led to this is the friends and family with regard to the Ajapa deal. The Ajapa deal, you went and then you are trying to do this. We don't know the board of directors. No information on it. You smuggle and brought to Parliament at 11 p.m. When you brought it, and then the opposition said that, look, give us the perspectives, and then we'll look at it. 11 p.m. Parliament was sitting. Yes, sometimes we'll sit over 2 o'clock. Haven't I been a member of, haven't you seen that? Don't go there. Sometimes we even sit up to 3. Very well. Then, yes. Then when you brought it, when we asked of the financial projections, you said they were market sensitive, so you couldn't give us the information. You appoint Osafo Mafo, who has appointed, who has 2 of his biological children in this government, as a permanent CEO. We want to talk. We say we are talking for Ghana because the resources of this country are for all of us. So when we say Achim mafia, look, it's Honorable Ken Oforiatta's bank, data bank, not the transaction advisors. It's not an Achim. It's Gabriel Chidakwa, his law firm, which Kokubaku even said that they benefited $103,000. Are they not? It's Osafo Mafo's son not? Please, we are not saying, if you say a group of Bulsa people are Achim, a group of Bulsa people are mafia and Saka, we are not talking about Bulsas. Because you have created a government and you have given all the largesse and businesses that you can get in this government to a group of Achim mafia, not Achim people, my brother. There are people in the Achim kingdom who cannot get food to eat. There are people in the Achim kingdom who cannot pay their children's school fees, who cannot get their daily bread. Are they part of the mafia? And that's why I like Professor Kwekwaza. He said that, look, the Achim mafia is not referring to Achim people. Okay. It's referring to a group of people like Dr. Kennedy put it in his book. Dr. Kennedy put in his book that the Achim mafia, Kennedy wrote it in his book. So if you're a mafia, you turn the mafia into Sakawa. It's the same. You see, the word mafia encapsulates a lot of other branches. Okay. So when we talk about that, we are not talking about Achim people. One yesterday, the one who led our manifesto Professor Boafo or something. He's an Achim man. And when we're in power, you remember the Ochin said that accused John Dramani that there were a lot of Achim people, and then we're doing appointment that were skewed towards the Achim people. You remember that statement? Yeah. And we pointed at that no, our chairman that time, he was the minister for local government. He became even the board chairman for this. And we have a lot of Achim people. All right. Marietta Brew, name them. A lot of them are in our government. And you say that we should apologize. The first person who should apologize in this country is the one who called the people of this country West Africa, ECOWAS people, because of voting and mass up military people to go to Volta region and then the northern sector of this country and call us northerners and call and then say that you are the real owners of this country. Who are not the real owners? Step down.
Thank you so much, Honorable Timothy. I will turn my tab with you.
You didn't give it the 5 minutes.
No, but I'm coming to you.
Thank you very much.
You have not started. So 5 minutes, let's go.
Yeah, the topics are loaded.
Okay, so
I think that both my brother and Honorable and my brother Saka agree that both parties have borrowed, right? Okay. And in their borrowing, we don't actually see what they use the money for.
Are you dealing with the Achim mafia?
I'll come to it. I'll come to it. So they both borrow, but Ghanaians don't feel it. As of now speaking, we have about half of Ghanaians who are multidimensionally poor. They are deprived in health insurance. People sit here and talk of health insurance, but only 40% are on the health insurance. Yeah. Not up to 50%. Even if you go to the rural areas, more than 55% of our rural areas are not on the health insurance. But people sit here and they say borrow, which means these two parties don't have any innovation. That's why lawyer Advocate Communal Green City is coming to change the system. Now let's talk to
Green.
Total support and total support for development. Now let's talk about this Achim mafia or whatever, which has become something. I think it's not new. When there's a robbery case on any of the highways, we say Nigerians or we say Fulanis or we say something. These ethnic stereotypes are among us. We mention them without feeling any inch of it. Now, why is Achim mafia something? Because of politics, right? I believe that if you go to some part of the country, we play, and when we play, we call other tribes other names, and it becomes normal. The danger with this is that justice, the resources of this country belong to all of us, right? We are supposed to know that when we say a vested resource, a mineral resource, it belongs to the dead, the living, and the future. Now, when few people, who are not up to 10 of the population of Ghana, right, allude to themselves these resources, and someone criticizes them or mentions a particular name, that the 10 of you, what you guys are doing is criminality, equal to a balance in our language called Sakawa or mafia. I don't see any challenge with that.
Criminality in what way?
Right? Oh, we were in this country, PDS. Who was arrested in PDS? We lost $200 million. Who was arrested? PDS took money. You know, PDS, when they took over, but you have not even told us the valuation of the minerals we are supposed to get from this particular deal. What is it? What is it? How much is it?
See the $1 billion.
This 1 billion? 1 billion? 1 billion from that? No. So now, Tua Champion, let me come. I will tell. I've read it. Now, Tua Champion. Oh, let me.
Benjamin, you have 2 minutes.
Oh, my 2 minutes. He's taking already. Tua Champion came out and said that after his valuation, Ghana was supposed to even trade it for 1.6 billion. That is Tio Champon. You can read it online. Okay. Now, after Tio, there are people who have also done valuation and said that it's supposed to be 3 billion Ghana cedis. Oh, my brother, that is your argument. Oh, my brother. Now, someone says, no, my brother, someone says, and they says that we are going to even trade something that belongs to Ghana. We are going to even trade this in a tax haven area because of some excuse that doesn't make sense. Now we sit here and we don't want to allude to the fact that that is criminality.
You say criminality.
That is criminality because Ghanaians are suffering. I don't know whether Saka passed. I don't know whether Saka passed circle. Oh, Saka, my brother. I don't know. Oh, my brother. I don't know whether Saka. I don't know.
I have said to you that we need not to encourage some of these things on the program.
I don't know. My brother. I don't know whether Saka passed circle today. I don't know whether Saka passed Nima today. I don't know whether Saka drives the Tamamoto way and sees Ghanaians who are living in kiosks, sleeping in unpalatable places.
Right.
And some 10 people amass our wealth to themselves, trade on international markets where we don't even know the owners of this particular company. Right? You see,
when was your
you see, in stepping down, I think Achi Mafia word is a linguistic problem.
Okay.
That people actually linguistic problem where people actually don't understand and want to maybe achieve a political point out of it and then generalize. But if you look at the content under which this particular Achi Mafia was said, it was not a general statement.
Okay.
It was specific to the 10 people who are losing their who are taking the masses of a wealth of this country to themselves.
Okay.
My brother.
So the Ajapa isn't taking to
Oh, my brother. My brother. When we were talking, I didn't talk. In concluding, I'm telling Ghanaians, as you listen to us here, the NDC and the MPP have always borrowed. We don't see anything.
All right.
We are still living in poverty. Lawyer Ivor Komnat Green Street.
Thank you so much.
He's the change maker, and he'll make the change come 2020.
Right.
Thank you very much.
This is time we'll last on today's edition. This is time we'll last. Honorable, your microphones are off. This is time we'll last on the program for today. Make a time with that same time tomorrow. My name is Justice Appiah. I am from Achimapedra. I'm not a Sakawa boy. Neither am I a mafia. Goodbye.